The initiative and referendum process in Arizona are at the very core of direct democracy. In essence, the people play the joint role of legislator and voter as they attempt to tackle the state's political and social issues on their own, thus removing the middleman or the actual legislature from the equation in some respects. There are key differences between initiatives and referendums, however. Initiatives are the actual means in which voters propose laws or changes to current laws by gathering a necessary number of signatures from registered voters to put the issue on the official ballot. A referendum, rather, is the means in which voters can veto a law or part of a law by gathering enough signatures to place the issue on the official ballot. So to recap, to give birth to a law in direct democracy, the initiative is used. To kill a law, the weapon of direct democracy is the referendum. There are numerous steps that must be taken in order to put initiatives and referendums on the ballot. So we're going to go through these here, starting with the initiative. So the first thing that must be done is that a political committee must be formed through the Arizona Secretary of State's online system known as the Beacon, or you must be prepared to designate an existing political committee to act as the petition sponsor. So this can't be done as an individual. So you must first of all have some sort of political action committee supporting this movement. The second thing that must be done is that an application must be filed for a serial number for this initiative with the Arizona Secretary of State's office. This is followed up by getting the appropriate initiative petition from the Arizona Secretary of State's office. So you have to have the right serial number and then the right kind of petition. All right? And then you have to ensure that the people who are going to be passing out your petitions have registered as well. So they can be people from out of state, but they have to be registered with the Secretary of State's office. So they have to be approved to be able to circulate these petitions. Finally, the petitions have to be circulated among registered Arizona voters. And to put initiatives on the ballot, if it's going to be a constitutional amendment, 15% of Arizona voters have to sign these petitions. For a statutory amendment, only 10% have to sign. To qualify for the ballot, the petitions have to be in by the state's deadline for each election. Finally, the Secretary of State and the county recorder's offices will look at the petitions and determine whether they met the qualifications for the ballot. This process is the same to put a referendum on the ballot. Initiatives and referendums really do give citizens that power of direct democracy, taking away a lot of that power of the legislature and putting it directly into the hands of the people. So if the people don't like what the legislature is doing, the voters can, in essence, take that power back and do the job better themselves. If you're a citizen who thinks that the legislature is not addressing the issues that you care about, this is where an initiative steps in. In an initiative, you're starting your own law, and you're hoping to gather enough signatures to get this bill, in essence, on the ballot, and hope that it will pass and become a law. However, if you're dissatisfied with a law that the legislature's already passed, this is where you'll want a referendum. In the referendum, this is the voter, the citizen's chance to basically veto what the legislature's already done. To say, hey, we're unhappy with what you did, so we as voters are going to put this on the ballot and we're going to strike down what the legislature did. So that is the key difference between what an initiative does and what a referendum does, and how this ties into direct democracy. There are a lot of pros and cons for both. First, let's look at some pros with initiatives. Initiatives do put the power into the hands of the people. So citizens who feel neglected by government, and this goes back to the territorial era in Arizona, when early Arizonians felt that their government, that their territorial leaders were in the pockets of the railroad barons and not paying attention to them. Initiatives go back to that spirit, in which citizens decided what was important to them. That's what the initiative goes back to. And bypassing political concerns that the Democratic and Republican parties believe is most important. In terms of cons for initiatives, sometimes you get a lot of them on there. You get a lot of initiatives on the ballot, and it may seem like it's flooding the ballot. And sometimes you get some wacky things on the ballot. For instance, in 2006, Prop 200 would have awarded $1 million lottery to one lucky voter in order to increase voter turnout. So basically there'd be a raffle for $1 million prize for one lucky voter in order to get more people out to vote. So that was voted down, but that was one initiative that was on the ballot in Arizona. On to some of the pros of the referendum. If you're unhappy with what the state legislature is doing, the referendum is a great way to express how you feel. Sometimes voting out incumbents doesn't seem like that goes far enough. This way you can directly take on the actions that you disagree with and get people together, get voters together to veto their action. To get a campaign together to lay out your differences with that law and to inform and educate the voters as to why this law was a bad idea, and to get people together to repeal it. As I close, I think it's important to reflect upon just how much the initiative and referendum aspects of Arizona's Constitution reflect that spirit, that progressive spirit that sparked Arizona's statehood to begin with. That feeling that the people of Arizona were being left behind by their legislature, and that to become a state, they didn't want to make mistakes. They didn't want to be second-class citizens coming into our country. They wanted from the very beginning to feel as though they had control, to feel as though their voices would be heard by their leaders, because they would be their own leaders, in essence. And the ballot initiative and referendum power that the people of Arizona have, and is outlined in the Arizona Constitution, holds that spirit to this very day, and is a power that the people of Arizona should be quite proud of. Thank you all, and good night.